Bye, hello, and see you later, alligators. Welcome to Waking God's Child YouTube channel. I'm here with my co-host, Candy Nelson. We're coming to you live tonight and also a day early or in between the days. Sometimes Wednesday, sometimes Friday. Hello, Thursday. Here we are. So with that said, hello, Candy. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. Very good. Had a good day.
I heard. I'm excited. That was some really good news, and I can't wait for you to share that with our folks here, our friends and loved ones that are watching. I was beside myself all day long. I was giddy about it when I heard. I was just like, "This is so cool!" Like, hard work pays off, and just by not shutting up. Wow, just look. So go ahead if you wouldn't mind. And I'm going to first throw in here really quick. I am still working tonight. I am home momentarily, but if I have to jump off for a minute and get in my car and drive, I'll probably have to switch over to my mobile and do it on the road because I have someone that's going to text me that I've got to bring some legal documents to. So you'll have to forgive me. I'll probably just blip out for like 5 minutes. I'm going to leave Candy up. She'll still be here with you, and then I will come back in mobile. So, all right, Candy, I'm going to go ahead and let you take it from here. Tell everyone what you heard with your news today. And again, I'm just so happy. I can't wait to have you share it with everyone.
Yep, me too. So anyway, I had my 6-month doctor's appointment. We have to see him twice a year. But anyway, so I go in for my regular appointment, and the doctor comes in, and there's a piece of paper hanging on the wall. He's like, "What is this?" He's like, "It's not even up here right." And so he calls the girl from the front. He's like, "Get this." He's like, "It's tore. Take it down. Go make a new copy. Put a new one up." And she comes in. She puts it up. He's like, "No, no, no, not that high. You got to put it down in the line of sight so everybody can see it." And so I'm looking at this thing, and it's like this list of different food items, a whole list of them. And so he comes in the room, he takes paper down, and there's a pharmaceutical rep that was there. She was in the out in the waiting area. And so it was just me and her and his office staff, which is a small staff. So it's like 3 or 4 people in there besides him. And so he takes the paper, he goes back out. And next thing you know, I hear him out in front room in the waiting area. And he's like yelling. He's like, "Y'all need to pay attention to this." He's like, "You got to understand something. They're putting corn in everything. Do you know what's in corn?" He's like, "Do you know what they do to that?" And so I'm in my room, and I'm hearing him. And I'm like, this is only the second time I've ever heard him go off like this verbally. And so he's like, "Y'all just don't understand." He's like, "They're feeding this corn to the livestock." He said, "The cows." He's like, "They're giving them this corn to fatten them up." He's like, "And then they got them in these confined spaces so they can't graze or anything, just to fatten them up." And he said, "Where do you think that winds up on? On dinner plates everywhere." And so
Right?
I'm standing behind him and I'm watching him do this, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's why I love him so much. And so anyway, he's like, "Y'all just don't understand." And I swear he said this, "They're shitting and they're pissing and they're standing in it all day. They're laying in it."
That is so funny.
I know. And he's like, and then he even said a few other choice verbal words, which I'm not going to repeat. But I mean, he was going
this is amazing, y'all. You have no idea, especially when we're people like us suffering from what's called morgellons disease. I think it's just, again, I'll say it forever, it's a small piece of a very large puzzle. But we have people that are advocating constantly and consistently. And Candy's been doing this for years, keeping in mind that she's the first woman that woke this doctor up to begin with. I mean, you said he was kind of familiar with the concept of
there, but
when we can't say the word, but
when I showed him that video of all those fibers coming out of my leg, it was like, oh, I knew I had him. I had him then. It was like, that was cool. That was the first day I met him, actually. So I hooked him right away.
So I mean,
So
undeniable stuff that
mhm,
you showed him. Sorry, guys,
mhm.
gotta adjust this. I mean, it's so hard work does pay off. There is, in fact, light at the end of the tunnel. But go ahead and tell them what you said, behind him, because I just love this part. This is my candy that I know. So
So it's funny because I was waiting for him to take a breath so I could throw my 2 cents worth in there. But he was like making sure his voice was loud enough and he was speaking like with power so that everybody was paying attention and they kind of
oh,
gathered
doctor's
around
office.
him.
That's awesome.
They kind of gathered around him and I'm standing behind him. You don't even know I'm there. So I'm waiting for him to take a breath. And then he finally did. And I was like, and on top of that, corn, 99% of all corn is genetically modified. I said,
Yeah,
do
this is
y'all know
candy
what
legs
that means?
educating them.
And the doctor's like, turns around, and he's like, yeah, this girl right here, she knows some stuff. She can
That's
tell you
right.
about this. And I was
I mean,
like,
telling
oh.
you.
So anyway, I told him, I said, and the sales rep is standing there and the other, employees. And I said, think about it. Genetically modified organisms,
Oh,
genetics,
Lord, dear.
DNA, modifying, changing organism, any living thing on
It's
your
sad though,
planet.
right? It's sad that you have to even say that.
I know.
It's sad news because people are looking at GMO on their box. And yeah, this is tricky. It's a tricky thing that they're doing. It is shady as all get out. But I mean, they've got GMO on the side of their packaging and almost every labeling in the grocery store. And just like you said, they don't have to like tell the truth on that, I mean, there are so
Yeah,
many
they
loopholes.
do.
It's
They have a
ridiculous. But
code. Well, they
what's
have a
that?
code. They have to tell us. They have a code. They have to
Oh,
tell us what they're
100%.
doing.
Satan's got to tell us what he's doing one way, some way, somehow, and
And
in many ways,
and
but it's deceitful ways.
that's called informed consent. So it's like
Absolutely.
you
And, so
consented
most people
because
look at the
you
box. They
ate it.
don't know what GMO is, right? They're just thinking, oh, now I know my ABCs and GMOs. But those stand for genetically modified organisms. And don't let that just slip through the ear holes there, go in one and out the other side. Y'all, you need to think about this. I mean, literally, like she said, this is the genetics of something that is alive and living being changed, modified, and then putting it into your food. That doesn't mean, oh, they killed it off, and then they put it in there and they mixed it, stirred it up real well,
It's
and now
the
you got some cereal
DNA.
with some bile something. I mean, it's not what that means, guys. It's just mind blowing to me, though, that we're such a lazy and dependent nation, actually world at this point, that we just rely on the government and the FDA and just every single federal agency that there is to tell us we can believe or we shouldn't believe. That's a conspiracy. That's not. This is truth. That's bogus. Fact check that. No, that's bad. We fact check that. You guys are relying and being dependent upon lies from liars. It's cut and dry. That simple. And I don't know if the muzzle over your face wasn't enough to convince you, or who's actually in office right now wasn't enough to convince you, or all the things that have happened in the past, considering those two towers that got flown into by, little flying objects that crumbled to the ground. And then they find out later that, there's a little bit more involved with that. And most people don't even look into that. So they probably don't even know what I'm talking about. But y'all, there's some stuff going on that you need to be aware of. But the best part is a lot of us know more and more are waking up, and Candy has managed to wake up a multitude of individuals, as well as a flipping medical professional, which, by the way, those are the ones that commit us, put us away, have us dragged away from, taken from our children, drugged up and kept in there, held hostage, where we don't remember being in there, nothing happening in there at all, or how we got there, how we got into their attire. And you guys have heard my story. I say it all the time, but I'm going to always use this as an example because my whole freaking human rights were taken from me thanks to, some uneducated family members of my own that have known me their entire lives that just decided, yeah, one day she just woke up cray. You guys, it doesn't work like that. You are not just a regular functioning normal human being like everyone else, paying your taxes, doing this thing and that, and then all of a sudden you just wake up crazy. What happens is you wake up sane, and you wake up seeing, and you wake up knowing. And just because you don't doesn't give you any right to take someone else's whole freedom as just to live and breathe the air and make choices for themselves away. So shame on you. You all know who you are. I love you. I forgive you. I will never forget it though. I have PTSD for the rest of my God-given life. But it's okay because I'm still able to embrace you and hold you and love you every day. And y'all know that because I do it. I do it.
Hey,
So
hey, another thing too that I did, like after I got done explaining that to them about the GMOs, I said, and so this is what happens, okay?
on her body. And it's so true. I mean, look at our bodies, like we have been through, our bodies are going through the ringer. And I promise you, you all, even if you're not familiar with this, your bodies are going through the ringer right now. Because here in the good old land of the free and the home of the brave, it's the land of the dummies and the home of the slaves. Your bodies are being eaten up alive right now. And I'm sorry, it's a sad truth, but I mean, look how obese we are as a country. Look at how unhealthy we are as a country. Look at how dependent we are, but yet, like, we're free. We know it better than we're going to yell and stand up. I'm just standing up for myself. I'm not taking it anymore. We're spoiled rotten brats. Like, I'm going to march for this and march for that. I'm going to be who I want to be. I'm a unicorn with a freaking two balls. I mean, please, please, could we stop with this nonsense? I'm this color. I'm that. We're on God's green earth that He made. Did we ever even come to this? Why are we becoming things we shouldn't be? Why are we seeing color? And here's a funny thing: we're not, but the government and the news and the media stations, they're making us think that that's what's happening, and they're keeping
Yeah.
us all fighting amongst each other. But we don't have to. We should all be aware, because even us here with other people going through the same thing in other countries, we, like, our brother and sister in Christ, we get along great. Like, they are wonderful individuals from every single country all over this beautiful world that God did made, just not the fiasco of a mess that Satan has created upon it. So
I love that post where they show the green egg, the brown egg, and the white egg. And then they show one of them cracked open. It's like, it's all the same on the inside. They're all different colors on the outside, but it's
exactly.
all the same on the inside, guys.
And
So
I think that's like what gets me the most. And by the way, tomorrow night, which is why we can't do podcasts, I have to go do a surveillance, and a predominantly color that, if other people were to see colors that is not the color of my skin, and I got to walk in there, and I'm going to do it, because why should we have to worry about, we're brothers and sisters no matter our skin color. And we got to remember, our skin color is derived not from, like, like, oh, you're just a lesser of a breed, you're a better breed. No, it literally was from years and years of either living in the sun and you get darker skin, or, I mean, people don't even think about this. We adapted given wherever the original area of this earth we derived upon. But all the same eggs, all the same brothers and sisters in Christ, and all the same loving human beings, well, some of us, that we should be. But I'm glad you said that, right, Candy? Like, it's like the egg thing, right? And then some are like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, the whole point is, you didn't come from a fart and you didn't come from an egg fart, which, by the way, I think those probably are horrible. So, but I mean, you came from a creator, and the creator doesn't make mistakes. He makes beautiful souls with potential who also happen to have free will. And if you decide to not use your mind and not utilize, what's in between the ears, that's on you, because you can fact check things all day long. But are you really researching something, or are you just asking someone else what is and what isn't? And I think if you have any common sense at all, you know the answer to that. You're fact checking. Someone else wrote that. And basically, there's an algorithm and AI in control of pretty much everything right now. Don't know about you guys, but when's the last time you guys called AT&T or something that you didn't get on the phone and you're on hold forever, and you got to go through all these prompts and automated systems of this thing and that thing before you can get to the human? And that's just if you can. And by the way, these days in time, you won't even know if you're really talking to a human or not, because they are that close to resembling humans. You have no idea. I mean, true story ever. So
yeah, well, he told me today, and he told me today, he's like, you're so amazing. He said, you're like a walking miracle. And I'm like, for my doctor to say that to me, girl, I had a whole list of things. Well, I had a whole list of things I was supposed to do after my doctor's appointment. I was so stoked afterwards. I forgot. And I just jumped in my car and whole butt home. I forgot all the
Right?
things I was supposed to do.
I think I would have done the same thing, because that is, you guys don't understand. That's not just like a little achievement. That's a milestone. That is like, you have no idea how hard people like her, myself, Sharon, Argo, all of us work, whether it's morgellons or just, people just having the vision to see the truth through the lies that we're living in, how hard we work to wake the masses up. And
And
when you see that moment actually bloom and blossom right in front of your face, which Candy did today, that is amazing. That's an amazing accomplishment. And I am so proud of you for that too,
well,
as well.
I tell you, I mean, and Lisa can testify to this too. I'm telling you guys, I can't even tell you how many times I was kicked and punched and ridiculed and poked fun of and made fun of and laughed at and ridiculed and called
Yeah.
all kinds of
I
names.
think
And
that's the commonality between all of us that see and have vision, right? We had
but
hit rock bottom and all our lives have been outcasts, right?
but again, I mean, I don't care if it happened 100 million times. I would have not
Change it.
have gotten I would have not gotten where I am now if I had given up. I kept going and I just kept going, and as hard as it
Yeah.
was, and I was so hurt so many times, and even my own family, and I'm like, nope, nope, nope,
Yeah.
nope, not on my watch.
Especially the own families. And I think that's what most of us also experience is we can deal with strangers not believing or not loving or being cruel and mean. But when your family doesn't believe you, when your family is kind of left wondering and teetering on the edge, I don't know, there's something wrong with her. Is there? Because you've known me your whole life. I didn't hit my head in like a mass explosion that just woke up, like, I don't know, a handful of us, like probably a million by now at least. I mean, and it's not just a coincidence. Like, if it were a coincidence, maybe two of us, maybe. And that's just maybe, because the signs and the details are exact. But we're talking millions worldwide, none knowing another. I want you to keep that in mind. A worldwide, on the other side of this world, or whether you're in Germany or Switzerland or Vermont, in here in the USA, or right here in good old bad old Texas, no matter where you are, these people, including myself and Candy, who also we did not know each other, we met through people that were coming together saying, look, I got this going on, and they're looking for answers, and they're like, me too. And then these groups, and go ahead and go on Facebook and just put in your search bar Morgellons disease or chemtrails or UFOs or any of these things, 5G, and this is for entertainment purposes only. I've got to say that, algorithm, because I'm just not liking censorship.
There's a Facebook group for everything out there.
And
Okay,
hundreds, when you and I first kind of started coming around to wondering what's going on with us alone, right? I think there was your group and maybe one other that I found. If you get on there now, there are hundreds of Morgellons groups. And there are even like 5 times fold on the UFOs or UAPs or whatever your government wants to finally tell you, even though people have committed suicide and died from it, from all the torture and, people laughing at them. And I want to just reiterate this right now. If you guys are going through that, don't you dare let them steal your thunder. Don't you dare let them steal your glory. Your life is so much more valuable than letting like these simple pea-brain minded people do that. And most of all, most of them are trolls, and they are literally hired by the government to do that to you. And keep in mind that they are really pushing an alien agenda at this point. And by the way, there are not aliens. There's nothing pretty much unidentified. What there are, though, is fallen angels and entities, the interdimensional entities, which are biblical. So for anyone's family to do what they've done to us, shame on you, first of all. Second of all, if you call yourself a Christian, act like one, because all of this is biblical, including everything going on in the sky. And by the way, the sun's white, not yellow, and it's changed shapes. And I'm getting ready to post a video on what you all missed, which the whole world missed, that happened during the Ring of Fire eclipse. There was something the whole world missed. And had I not accidentally hit stop when I was reviewing the footage just a couple of nights ago, I would never have seen it or known it with the naked eye. But I hit stop at just the right time. And this happened so fast, in the blink of an eye. But I slowed it way down multiple times, and I've got a whole video I'm getting ready to post and share as soon as I finish it. But your guys' mind is going to be blown. There is a lot going on upstairs It's going to make you rethink your whole reality, your whole what they've told us. And keep in mind, none of us have been, up there. We didn't take a rocket ship and be like, yep, I see Mars over there. There's Venus. There's Uranus. Yeah, I'd say. But I mean, we're just taking man's word into account. But when you see this video, you're going to rethink a lot of things, because I took the footage, a regular Sony 4K Handycam out there, and I videoed directly this ring of fire. And this thing that happens, or two things that's 100% unexplainable and nothing to do with an eclipse. I guess let's put it this way. I really have to wonder if these are actual eclipses that we're experiencing. I'm going to leave it on that note because that'll be shared later. But I just want you all to know that there's so much going on and so much more you need to be paying attention to. And stop shunning and dissing people just because your mind can't wrap around it and you want to go fact check, answers given by somebody else. But it wasn't you. It wasn't you. You didn't go check it out. You don't know. You're just literally like, well, I Googled it. I Googled me that stuff. You can Google away. And even the name Google is stupid, by the way. And just remember, you're Googling something that's coming from an artificial intelligence or programmed by man. And that goes with even your rewritten history, whether you guys want to believe it or not. Your history's rewritten. Telling you what. And the victors will always rewrite your history because, well, that's what they do. That's a no-brainer either. And if you guys look back into even further history prior to late 1800s, you will see, but nobody does that because they just go to school and they memorize what they've been told, and they don't actually dig for information, which has been either archived or actually in your libraries, in your older history books and textbooks and books written by our ancient ancestors. We're just listening to what man says. And that makes that tunnel with the light at the end of it very bleak because they're purposely trying to block your way out of that tunnel. And you're not going to get any light if you keep listening to what they're telling you. And again, I'm going to reiterate, you just went through something crazy. Ukraine, crazy. Everything we've seen, Hawaii, crazy. Twin Towers, crazy. There's so much crazy going on in your world and nobody's waking up yet and they're not questioning anything at all. Who's the president of this country? By the way, it's a one world government already, has been for a while. You're welcome. New World Order isn't new. It's been around for a while. But you guys, you don't have to believe me. In fact, you're not gonna right now. But do your homework, actual homework. Don't go memorize a textbook.
And again, just to remind you, remember when I was telling you when my dad was going to college in the 70s? They were They were teaching them about the New World Order. He came home.
Oh, they've been pushing that agenda for so long. And we know George Bush talked about it. They only talk about these things way later. And, like anything that they're talking about that's supposedly happening now or happening then means it's been going on already for a while. I mean, and nobody should be foolish enough to believe that it hasn't. I talk about the sun simulator sometimes, right? And you can look it up and there's an actual patent. It's an actual thing. But, just the U.S. doesn't claim to have launched it yet, but China has. But people are just like, they cannot get it through their mind. They're like, well, no, they say they haven't done it yet. They're talking about it. There's a patent on it. China has done it. It is launched. And up there, a sun simulator with thousands of little mirrors. Hence the reflections on the ground that are, well, quite built like a billion hexagons off of a sun simulator, but nobody's thinking about that. They're like, oh no, that's just this, and it's going through the trees, and it's making, and then the trees just gathering the light, and then it's just sprinkling all over the ground these weird little shadows. And I'm just like, you fools, you're going to accept that answer. But here's the deal. Again, there's a patent for it. If there's a patent for it, it's already in motion. And plus, I've already proven that. Like one day I said, go ahead, go outside your house. And people here in Sealy, Texas actually went outside their homes, looked up, videoed the sign, like, tell me that's not a hexagon. And some guy pipes up, the only guy that wasn't afraid to pipe up. Everyone else is like, oh no, they might think I'm crazy. And like, well, get over it, because you're crazy for just not, waking up. But so I'm the one saying you're crazy at this point. But this one guy has enough cojones to come out and say, by gosh, I went out. She's right. It's a hexagon. I'm like, cut to the dot. But, nobody else wanted to chime in. And I get it. Persecution sucks. Ask Jesus. He could probably tell you about it. Probably tell you a lot about it. But, I mean, they just said, like, this is going to happen. And the Bible said People will no longer listen to sound teachings. They will believe anything. There will be so many false messiahs, and I'm pretty sure we've had a few. You'll have blood moons. Yep, seen a few of those lately. Blood moons, come on, guys. Blue moons and hyena moons. Like, give me a break. There's a name for everything. I mean, heck, I saw the wave clouds, the clouds that look like literally ocean waves here one day. And they're like, oh, those got a name. That's called a bada bada bat clouds. And I'm just like, you guys, they gave it a name, so it must be fine, because that's the mentality that everyone's got. And they're thinking, well, our government would surely tell us. But would they? I mean, I want you to think, would they? Why would they? Why would they tell you? Oh, they care about us. No, they don't give a crap about you. You guys, why would they care about you?
We want to say hello to Sharon and Argo. Long time no see, Argo.
Yes, I'm just looking at that too. Yeah, I haven't seen Argo in forever. I'm so glad he's here. And Sharon, I just love you so much. She's amazing, and she has been going through the stuff too with the fibers. And let me tell you, but I'm right there with you, sister. I promise you're not alone. It's been horrible on this level
while
too.
I was at the doctor today, I told him, I was like, I haven't had any problems with the fibers on my legs in a long time. Last night before I went to bed, I was itching like crazy on my legs, making me crazy. So I woke up this morning. My appointment was at 10. So I woke up this morning at 7, and I was like, oh man, I ran and grabbed the Elmer's glue. I put it on my legs real quick, and I sat here and let it dry. And then I waited for like an hour, and then I went and I peeled it all off. And I was like, oh my gosh, so much relief. So Sharon, just letting you know, if you've never done that, if you got fibers and you're itching, let's get you some.
I have a video of that too. I think Sharon saw that video of the glue that I put all over me.
Yeah, and so you put it on wherever you're itching at, and just let it dry. And then even if some of it's still wet, you peel off what you can on the dry. But even if it's still wet, you can take your fingers and like roll it like that, and it'll still grab onto the fibers and get them off of you.
And this is for entertainment purposes only.
I told my doctor.
Why am I saying this? Because we are definitely, there's censorship. As you guys know, we got taken down 2 podcasts ago for what? For talking about foraging, plant life, and how to stay, alive if something were to ever happen. And they're like, oop, you're talking about the naughty things. No, we're going to take you down. There wasn't even like, you can't debate it. There was nothing I could click to debate it. Or I'm just like, what are you talking about? That is a weed. That's a picture of a plant. And we never said anything vulgar, so I have to laugh.
Let me share what I use when I do that Elmer's glue thing, because I wanted you to see it too, but I just use.
Well, remember I did that podcast or the video on it. Remember?
No, I used this plastic bin, so when I go to peel it off, I just put my legs in here. Hold on one second, I'll show you.
Okay.
Anyway, this is just a plastic bin.
Yeah, anything works for sure.
See the glow? Y'all see that?
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, I just use this bin and I just put my leg in it and just peel it right in there, so that way it don't get all over the place.
Or put a sheet down, or do it in your bathtub, or pretty much anything. But I did it on video in my sink, as you guys remember. I think you guys remember, but yeah.
Well, listen though, what I'm saying is, you probably don't want to wash that stuff down your sink or your drain.
No, I scooped it out later. But what I'm saying is, like, you're going to want to visibly see it, just so you can see how effective it actually is. But
and not only that, if you have a scope and you've got a sheet of glue, you can actually put the scope over it and see what's stuck in the glue. I've done it before. Hexagon crystals, fibers, all kinds of stuff.
And here's a thought, y'all, that don't believe.
You
can do that on your regular skin. Y'all, I got to get this message real quick. I'm going to let you take it away, okay? For a second.
All right. So what you do is, like, when my hands were broke out really bad, I covered them in Elmer's glue and let it all dry. Oh, what happened? Hold on one second, guys. Oh, okay. So I let it all dry, and when it dried real good, I peeled it off in one big sheet, and then I scoped it. And as I found stuff, I took an ink pen and just went around the outside of the scope, because it's like a little round like scope. And then that way I can mark the spot. So even if you wanted to save it to take to your doctor and show them, it's like, holy moly, man. I'm just telling you, the glue trick works. It works. So, and again, if it's wet, you just take your fingers and just roll it off like that. But it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So,
All right. This is where I'm going to kindly bow out for a moment. I'm going to try to pick it up mobile wise. So, Kenny, I'm going to let you go ahead and continue on. I'm going to try to pick it up from my mobile end, okay?
okie dokie.
All right, here you go. I'm going to put you up. And guys, I'll be back, I promise. It's just going to take me a second to get out to the car and start it over again. All right.
Okay. So I guess I'm solo right now. But anyway, again, the glue trick, it's amazing. It just absolutely is amazing. So, let me think what else.
Your mullet tea and your peppermint.
Oh, my mullein. Remember when I was telling you? I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast, but Lisa knows about it. I was having a problem with my breast. It was just horrible. So my doctor asked me today, he's like, well, did you eat something different? I'm like, no, but I've been smoking that mullein and then I made some mullein salve. And when you smoke the mullein has like these little tiny fibers in it. They're not like morgellons fibers, it's part of the plant. But so when I smoke it, there's a filter attached to it, plus you're burning it. So you're not inhaling those little spriggly fibers that's on it. But when I made my salve, I cooked the leaves in coconut oil and I didn't filter it. So when I made the mullein salve and I mixed some eucalyptus oil in it, when I was having problems with breathing, I rubbed that salve all on my chest and my breast area because I was having problems and didn't even think about the fact that next thing you know, I mean, I was all broke out on both of my breasts all over and they were swollen. My breasts were swollen for 2 or 3 weeks. And I was like, what is going on? But anyway, I finally figured out today it was because I didn't filter that salve that I made. So I was like, wow, okay, that was a lesson learned. So ever since then, now I'm having like a dried biofilm on them that I'm having to I had to actually put Elmer's glue on them today and try to remove what I could because it's just cake full of biofilm and fibers right now on my breast, both of them. It's very painful and it's very itchy. And the more you scratch, the worse it gets. So, you know, anyway, so yeah. So that was a hard lesson for me to learn, but I'm like, oh, at least when I'm drinking the tea, it's in a tea bag. It gets filtered. When I smoke it, there's a filter, so it gets filtered again. But the salve, I didn't filter it, and I'm like, wow, man, did I screw up with that? I don't even know how I would actually filter coconut oil, but I'll give it a shot the next time anyway. See how that works. But and then I forget what else she said. Uh, Sharon or Argo or Gator Sky, y'all have anything you want to talk about or want me to talk about? Any of my other crazy shenanigans that I pull off? Oh, and this doctor too. This is the guy that Lisa had some business cards made up with her YouTube channel on it, and mine and her face was on it. So when she first had them made up, I went to him and I had an appointment. So I gave him one of the business cards and I told him, I was like, here, this is for you. Put it in your pocket. So, I did my appointment. I get ready to check out. So he takes the card out of his pocket and he tells the girl at the desk when I was checking out, like, put this in her file. And he turned around to walk away because my appointment was over. And I was like, oh, looking, I'm like, I took that card out of her hand and I'm like, I chased him down the hallway. I followed him all the way back down the other end of the hallway. I tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, excuse me, this was not for my file. It was for your pocket. So anyway, we got the best relationship in the world, and he absolutely is just one of the best doctors ever. I'm so blessed. And I've been trying to work up to asking him about doctors that he may know in other states that are open-minded like he is, and on the same level as he is as far as his thinking, because I'm just going to tell him the next time I go. I have a lot of friends that really need good doctors, and they're just not out there, so if you can give me a few names, I can, throw some of those names towards my friends that need them in other states, because this is not a good situation for a lot of people, and I'm just very lucky and I'm very blessed to have him. So I will be asking him that. I just haven't been brave enough to go there a lot of times. I'm like, it's hard. It's hard being brave, guys. It really is. And but he just makes it easy for me. He does. So I'm blessed with that. But and then I was telling him too today, like I've been telling my husband about the glyphosate in the food supply for years. And what woke me up to it originally was I got up one day, it's been probably, I don't know, 15 years ago or more. And I was pouring me a bowl of Cheerios and I was eating the Cheerios, and kids were in school. He was at work. And so I'm reading the Cheerio box, and on the side of the box, it tells you that it may contain genetically engineered materials due to manufacturing and shipping. And I was like, I'm sitting there reading that while I'm eating it, and I'm like, what? I was so angry, because I was thinking about the poorer people, especially the ones that get the WIC coupons for their children, the women and children's WIC coupons. One of the cereals on there is Cheerios, and there's so many babies all across the whole entire country that they put those Cheerios on their little high chair tray, and they sit there and they teethe on them. And my kids did it, and I got so angry. I thought about all of the babies all across the whole United States that are sitting there eating those Cheerios, sitting there talking about how heart healthy they are for people and they're good for your heart. And then on the side of the box, underneath the nutritional facts, they're telling you that they're genetically modified, because they have to tell us what they're doing. So it's there, it's on the box, and it's down on the very back in the very fine print on the very bottom, real small print. So when I was at the doctor today, I told him, I said, yeah, I said, my husband tells me the other day that he saw on the news where they said that there was glyphosate in the Cheerios, and they had it on the news. He's telling me, and I'm like, excuse me, how long have I been saying this to you? He's like mad at me. I'm just telling you what's on the news. I said, I've been telling you this for years. So now all of a sudden it's news. He's like, well, I'm just telling you what they said. So, and the doctor, yeah, you've been screaming it for how long now? That's right. But wow. Well, and as far as Gator Sky says, he gave up on doctors on New Mexico. Well, I don't know, guys. I mean, that they're a dime a dozen, and it's like, if you can't get the right one, just you keep going and find another one till you find the right one. I mean, when I first met this guy, I was like, if I told him I busted out with morgellons at the very first visit. I showed him the video with the fibers coming out of my leg. I showed him hundreds of pictures of the massive lesions I had on my body, and what I used to look like. And he was just, when he's looking, his lip was quivering and his face turned red, and he was so mad, not at me, but mad over the fact that, he realized that he had been deceived, by his own um, training, his professional training. And so it was like, wow, I just knew. I told Lisa, I'm like, I could tell, had a heart. He had a brain. He could think for himself. He could look at them and see how far I've come, and, what I did to change things. And I told him, I said, nobody in their mind would ever do this to themselves just to show you that they could fix themselves. I'm like, so if you don't believe me, then we don't need to be together. I'll just find another doctor. I was like, but I will not lie to you, and I expect you to never lie to me. And, we can either work together and I can help you to understand so you can help other patients, or I can find another doctor. So at the end of the appointment, I asked him, I said, I was like, so, do I need to find another doctor or what? He's like, nope, we're good. He said, I'll see you in 6 months. And I'm like, oh, thank you, God, man. I thought I was going to have a breakdown when I left his office that day, but I just sat in the car, just trembling, like, I can't believe I pulled that one off. Sharon says that naturopath that I'm supposed to see soon near me is open-minded. And so I want to see him no more than he does. LOL. So Gator Sky says he gave up on doctors on New Mexico. And yep, Sharon, you need to try the glue trick. It works. I swear it works. So that's all the comments. I don't know what else to talk about, guys, other than the fact that, like I said, I left that there today. I was just so, I don't know, just stoked. I just felt like, wow, all the things I've been through and all the ways I've been treated. And it's like, it just felt so good to know that, wow, I just can't even say. It's just amazing. And I'm not good at this solo, so y'all notice Lisa does most of the talking when we do these things. So y'all just have to bear with me. Hi, Kat. She says, hi. I thought it was live on Friday. We try to, Kat. We try to do it on Fridays. But Lisa's got a job this Friday, and she's also got one tonight. So she just went out to her car because she had to switch over her mobile phone outside because she's driving to another job. And so we were just going to wrap it up on her drive to her job that she's got tonight. Yeah, Gator. And like I said, don't give up. And again, there's thousands of doctors out there. If you can't find the right one the first time, don't find. It's like I said, they're like, boyfriends and girlfriends. It's like, hey, or your partner. It's like, if they're not going to respect you, not treat you right, then, there's plenty more out there. Move on, find another one. So, it's people don't need to get upset if they don't believe you. Then why would you stay with them? You don't stay with them and keep paying them to discredit you and treat you badly. If you're going to pay somebody, at least let them, they need to be respectful and be the best that they can be for you. And if they're not, then you don't need to be together. Yep, Sharon, I've had one doctor prior to this guy that I had for 13 years, and I thought the world of him. He was a really good guy, but he was not as open-minded as the one I have now. Let's see, I would let him fall under the CT category, that what they call us. Yeah, he's there. So, he's always like talking about, he got upset one time. This was the second time I've actually heard him go off, but the first time it was about spraying glyphosate on the fields and poisoning the crops. So, yeah, he went off for about 15 minutes straight about that, and I was just sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, really? He knows? He knows." So, I'm blessed to have him, and I never put his name out there because guess what? People don't need to know his name. I honor him, I protect him, he protects me, and that's how we roll together. So I would never do that to him. Kat says, I will never go to another doctor or hospital again. Maybe an urgent care place. I burned all my medical records. I do not trust the system. Well, I know it's hard. I even today I said, look, I know you as a doctor when I come here, you have to tell me, hey, how about a mammogram, or how about a pap smear, or, how about colonoscopy? And I'm like, and I've told you 1,000 times, no, 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 no. So we need to talk about that today, because I'm just going to tell you straight up. I can see no point in getting any of those screenings, because if it comes back positive for any signs of cancer, I'm not going to do any treatment for it. So if I'm not going to be doing any treatment for it, chemo or radiation, why do I want to know about that negative C word that's in my body when I'm not going to do anything to treat it? Because then that way, guess what? That messes with my psyche. And I'm living my best life that I can, just knowing that, I do the best I can from day to day. So as far as doing chemo or radiation, I mean, I wouldn't last maybe 2 treatments and it would kill me. So I will never be doing that. So again, don't push me about getting colonoscopies and mammograms and pap smears and all those screening tests, because the answer will always be no. So and he's like, okay, I understand now. He's like, I see here, that you've never got any of them, even though I've advised them. And he even told me before the COVID shot came out, or the COVID vaccine, he kept telling me, well, they're gonna have a vaccine coming out, and he's like, I just want to let you know it's gonna be coming, it's coming. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And so he kept saying to me, well, I guess he knew that they were gonna be like, try to make it, push everybody to do it, because he was trying to prep me psychologically for it. He kept saying over and over, we're gonna have a vaccine, just letting you know it's coming. And I kept saying, I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So anyway, he even actually gave me a prescription for a mask exemption should I had had any problems, any, anybody trying to force me to wear a mask, because back at that time, my face was messed up really, really bad. I mean, it was a bloody mess. And I told him, I said, first of all, I can't breathe with things on. Second of all, it affects my skin. I'm got big crusty lesions all on my face. I am not putting a mask on and breathing this crap in all the time. So yeah, he gave me a exemption on that right away without any question. And I never wore a mask to his office either. So, you know, oh gosh, uh, that's what I say to my family, Candy. What do you say to them? I'm sorry, I was saying so much. Yeah, anti-vacation. It saves lives to not take any. Yeah, indeed, it saved mine because I wasn't doing it. Kat says, I know too much being in the healing arts over 50 years. Yeah. And that's where I am with it all. Our system is no good. Absolutely not. Well, Lisa was saying, we did a podcast a couple of weeks ago on foraging. We were talking about medicinal plants that you find growing wild, and what you can do with them and things like that. And so they right after we did it, it wasn't long at all, they took our podcast down and said that they took it down due to vulgar language and nudity. We never said not even one simple word of profanity, none. And there was no pictures at all on nothing. So where they got vulgar profanity and nudity, we still haven't figured that one out. But anyway, it got back up. So we did good. Kat says she's been doing the SHP, self healers protocol, for 1.5 years, and plasma sea salted water. I drink a gallon a day to hydrate, detox, and get all the minerals, electrolytes I need. Yeah. Another thing too is the energy clearing protocol. That's free, and it's simple. It's just tapping your body and massaging in different places. But you can look it up on the internet with it's Candy Griffin Walker Energy Clearing Protocol on YouTube. And so they explain how to do it and how it works. And I actually did that myself because they have files set up where you clear all the negative energy out of all these things, and each file has different things in it. Like the first one is the different foods that you consume over the years, and it's just a file with all those words typed up. And a lot of people print the files, but there's like hundreds of pages altogether. What I did when I started doing it is I just opened the file and touched my screen. So I didn't even print them and put them in my hand. I just opened the file on my computer and I touched the screen and I did the clearing. And the first time I did it was for the food. And within 30 minutes after that, I was like, all of a sudden, I had these stomach pains that I never had in my life before. So I knew that it was doing something immediately, because I'm like, holy moly, what in the world is going on? And that was the first time I had ever done it. And so I knew right then and there, because I had an immediate reaction. I was like, man, I'm going to document everything that happens to me during this process. And it took me a total of 60 days to go through every single file. I think that back at that time, there was like maybe 13 or 15 files. And so you do one file one day, and then you wait a day in between. And then on the third day, then you go to the second file. And so it took me a total of 60 days to get through the entire process. And I documented every single symptom, every single reaction. And I was like, oh my God, I wrote it all down. I took pictures of everything that's happening to me. It was pretty amazing testimony. But it's because they took all my notes down on Facebook. They removed all the notes. I had it on my notes, but now I had to actually save it into a separate file on my computer, because again, they took down all my notes. So yeah. Let's see. Do you know about Sabrina Wallace? She says our auras have been stolen, which contains 80% of our immune system. She is on Odyssey at Penn Synergy. No, never heard of Odyssey at Penn Synergy or Sabrina Wallace. Kim Cat, good evening, and Candy, good night. Yeah, I think I'm going to be signing off too, because it don't look like Lisa's coming back. So I'm going to say good night to everybody, and hopefully she'll come back and she'll figure out we already shut down. She'll probably call me. So anyway, thank you guys for joining us tonight. And I'm sorry she had to go to work. And I'm sorry I'm not that good at this stuff. So I'm still learning. I love you guys, and y'all have a good night. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, this is daylight and $1 short, but yep. Gonna end this chat now, folks. Sorry about that. I tried. They blocked me out.